Okay. So I'd like to welcome Candice in joining me at Back to Basics Health Solutions and sharing with me some information about her health journey that she's been embarking on over the past couple of months. And so welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks.
Now, I wanted to just congratulate you firstly, 11.4 kilos. And you've also passed it through Christmas, New Year, come out the other side, and you've still maintained your weight. So kudos to you. I'm so excited with that because that means we know that in the future, Candice, she's going to be maintaining her weight, right?
Exactly. I was very, very happy when I looked at today and went, oh, I've maintained.
So talk to me a little bit about before we met. One, how did we actually meet? How did you Google? What did you do first up to meet Back to Basics? Because I'm in Townsville and you're actually a foreigner.
In Melbourne.
And I'm on the other side of the border sort of thing. So how did you find me originally?
I have a feeling, I can't remember if there was an ad on Facebook or there was something I Googled. I don't remember if that came up first, but I remember Googling nutritionist because I got into the point where I went, I just need to talk to someone about what I'm doing. And I think your name kind of came up, even though I'm in Melbourne and you're in Towns. I don't know how that happened. But your kind of business came up. And when I was looking through, I kind of went through some of the socials and things like that. And I thought, I'll contact you and see. And I think at the time too, you had like a free one-on-one chat offered at the time too. So I thought, well, nothing's going to hurt to kind of chat and meet and have a bit of a start.
So that leads us to, for you to Google, because most people Google something first up. So what led you on this journey to start with then? Why were you Googling lose weight? I want to lose weight now.
I just turned 40. So I turned 40 in January last year. And had just kind of gotten to that point. I'd changed schools and was at a new school and kind of was realizing, I am a school teacher. Yeah, primary school teacher. So I was realizing I kind of wasn't happy with exactly where I was. I could see myself binge eating and eating all these things that weren't necessarily the best for me over a long period of time. But I kind of couldn't get myself out of that cycle. And then having turned 40, I was kind of like, oh, is this what I remember what I was like when I turned 30. I know, I'm like 10 years ago, I was doing these 3-hour hikes and I was good. And this picture that I see when I was 30, because of course that comes up in memories now.
Thanks, Facebook.
Yep. And I just kind of went, oh, I just need some help. I tried to do the thing kind of previously on my own and something in me just kind of said, no, I think I need some help this time. So
And then I think when we had a bit of a chat, it was a little bit of an eye-opener because I know I did a food analysis. You're right, I do a complimentary consultation. I always do that as well because I've got to see how can I be the best asset for you, but I need to know a little bit about you as well. And then we would have done a food analysis session, and I know that you were pretty horrified that when you put your information through, what I actually came back with, and I said, do you actually realize this is how much fuel you're feeding your machine? And then this leads me on to when we go, well, how are you feeling? Because it really correlated a lot back on, where you're at. So before you even started, how were you feeling, like emotionally, physically, all those things? I mean, we know what brought you to you wanted to lose weight, but it's still different about how you were feeling.
Yeah, so I was actually having a lot of kind of gut bloating and like windy, just wasn't anything I was eating kind of was going, oh, I was apologizing for the noises my stomach was making. And then I was like bloating and I'm like, this isn't right. It's not what I want to be my normal. No. And then, and just not feeling energetic. I was kind of feeling really like blah down, in these kind of mild depressive type moments or weeks where I'd be like, I just don't have the energy or the motivation to do anything. And I remember having that conversation with you, thinking I was, in a normal week eating relatively well for my body.
Yeah.
And you kind of sharing with me about, you know, all the little bits that kind of add together.
Yes.
And that really kind of basic analogy you made about the fuel in the car. And I just kind of went, it was like this eye-opening moment of just going, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. How are you fueling your machine? Are you fueling it with diesel or are you actually giving it petrol? Well, you and my friend were giving it diesel and it was spluttering around and it was making you feel that tired and lack of motivation and that bloatedness. And people don't always recognize that they're part and parcel with the digestive system. We understand that, but it has a bigger picture in relation to your weight as well. And many people go on diets, but diets ultimately fail. And one of the things that I think that I like to share with all of my members is that if we can look at your food differently and not just go on the diet, but change your diet, but why you're changing your diet. And then when we peel back some layers and then you start to feel good again and you have more energy and you can feel and understand the difference from feeling like crap to feeling fantastic. And if you choose to feel like crap and you want to be in that zone, all good and well, but you've made that conscious decision choice to go, hang on, I enjoy feeling fantastic. And why wouldn't I eat this way? And why wouldn't I fuel my body this way when it's paying you dividends? And I mean, look at you, you're happy, you're vibrant, you've got more energy, you're 11 kilos down, and you know you can maintain your weight now.
Yeah, yeah. It just, yeah, that kind of first kind of conversation, I think really just started everything. And even through, you know, the start of the program and even over Christmas, I just had that mental ability to go, okay, this is what you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
You know, I ate something on Christmas and, you know, I kind of got the stomach rumbles and I went, I know exactly
I know what
why
that is.
I know what that is. And that's okay because it's only going to be that meal.
Yeah, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having lifestyle. You know, you're human, I'm human. We're going to have things in the big bad world. It's going to happen. But we also know when we can stop and start. And that's the problem that you were having before because you've done programs previously. And that's where I suppose you failed previously. So share with me a little bit more about, I suppose, why it wasn't working before.
Well, I'm single and I live alone too. So there's no one at home outside of my friends to kind of be that kind of, oh, what are you doing, or support at home. So when I come home and I kind of get into those bits of, oh, this is too hard.
Yeah.
I would binge eat. Like I'd buy, you know, a packet of chips and a couple of chocolate bars on the supermarket shop and think that will last me over the next week or fortnight.
Yeah, yeah. No, it doesn't.
On a Saturday night, I'd eat them all. And then I'd spiral and then I'd be like, oh, I need more. Or, oh my God, you know, that's so bad. I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
And
Beat yourself up.
yeah. And I was never able to, I think, understand what was going on and why I was craving it and what was going on with my body so that I couldn't. And that's what I found happened when I started talking to you. I was able to understand what my body was doing.
Yeah.
So then I understood where the cravings or the need for hunger was coming from. And then I was able to say, okay, so instead of having that chocolate bar, I'm actually going to go and have these few, you know, strawberries or something. And then I'll see how I go after. Yeah.
And because sabotage is a big thing. And people say to me, Jo, you know, I don't have the willpower to do a program. In all honesty, it's not about the willpower. It comes down to making sure you shop for the right foods to bring into your house, because if you set yourself up for success, that's where it comes from. If you want to bring in a chocolate bar or a packet of chips, you are creating that you have to have willpower because you're going to sabotage it. The sabotage is happening at the grocery store before you've even walked out. Because as you said before, you know, you might just get one of this and one of that, but you go, oh, well, I'll just have that maybe, but it's not. It's like feast or famine and you're all in or you're all in. And even I do that. So when you shop with intent and you bring the right foods into the house, it's making you more successful. But if you want to bring the rubbish into the house and you're not strong enough, if you want to use those words, well, then you're going to have to dig deep. But I feel that when we set you up with the knowledge on how food, because previously food was controlling you, but now you're in control.
Yeah.
And that's a big game changer.
Yeah, that's what I found too. Like I wasn't doing the binge spiral. Like even when I started the program on the weekends, I wasn't feeling like the weekend was the time off.
Yeah,
and I ate
missing
really
out.
well during the weekend. Now I'm going to like gorge myself on all this stuff.
Yes.
And then, but what I also found was, because I understood it more, that maybe it's because I'm a teacher or something, like I need the information. But because I understood it more, I actually felt more comfortable in actually saying to friends at school too, and in my workplace, I'm not going to eat that.
Yeah.
Because it's a school. We have morning teas, we have chocolates, everything's all around.
School teachers and nurses are the worst.
Yeah, we are. So and I don't know, I'd never been able to say to people at work, oh, I'm for the next month, I'm not going to do it. So, but because I recognized that I was doing this and I was going to do it well, then I had that I was able to say no. And because I said it out loud too, I actually had people bringing stuff around going, oh no, Candice, you don't want this. You can if you want, but you don't want it. And I said, no, I'm okay. So it was nice to have that little bit extra.
Yeah. So then did you find in the building of, well, we know that the food wasn't hard to follow.
No, it was very easy to follow.
Yeah. So, and the program's just normal everyday food. So you weren't missing out. So I get a lot of people who say to me, oh, but Jo, I'm going to be missing out. I'm going to be missing out on these foods. And my theory is that, what are you missing out on? Are you missing out on your old lifestyle that made you feel like crap? Or do you miss out that you actually want to feel healthy? So we have normal everyday foods that you find in the normal cupboard, in the fridge, and it's healthy eating, but it's creating that lifestyle that makes sense, because now you're going to take away this knowledge. You can't unknow what you've known and what you've learned. And now you're armed with that information. So the food's just normal food, hey?
It is. And in all honesty, I worked really hard, and like for the first month, 6 weeks, I followed the program and I was really, really good. I was very impressed with myself. And I kind of had that moment where I went, yeah, we're going along okay. And, my family visited, and they're like, oh, I'll have a piece of, yeah, sure, I'll have a piece of chocolate. No worries. I had it. And I remember thinking, this isn't as nice as I remember. And all of a sudden I just went, okay.
Light bulb moment.
Food, but my body, okay, I've got this. And it was like that one moment where I'd been like, no, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But I had this food that I loved, and I used to like binge, and chocolate is life. Mm-hmm. But I remember just eating it and just going, I'm not enjoying it. And it was like this second like moment of, you can do this. Yeah.
And I think we discussed on it before, the accountability. As I said, we know that you live in Victoria and I'm here, but do you find that we've got the support group, but we've also got our one-on-one sessions? So ultimately, did you find them really helpful for you? Because I know many people do programs and they're like group things, or they download things for free and they're not as successful. But do you think that was the game changer for you, that you had this ability to tap into extra knowledge, but extra support?
I definitely think it was. I remember, particularly in the first month, I could just send you like a message on Messenger, just saying, oh, I'm looking for some wraps or something. Is it this one?
What can I do?
And what can I do? Like, I'm sick of eating salads. I want to do a wrap. What can I do?
Or I might tag you in a recipe and go, have you tried the yellow curry chicken? Here, I'll just tag you in it. Have you tried the cheesecake? I'll just tag you in it.
Exactly. So having that support and knowing it was that direct line, like I'd spoken to you, I knew you, it was really, really helpful. I enjoyed the online group a bit at the start. I've kind of, drifted off that as I've gone on.
Because you know what you need to do.
I do. But I think the weekly calls and like the ability to message and just ask a question.
Yeah.
Like I think at one stage I don't know. I just remember thinking, oh, well, I messaged this, but I did. And you're like, yeah, no, that's fine.
Sure.
Okay.
And I find if it takes 2 seconds out of my time to give you the answer, it's actually more beneficial to you. Because if you had to go to, let's say, a doctor's surgery and you're like, oh, I've got to go and ring up and I've got to make an appointment, it's not going to be like till 2 weeks' time, you've wasted 2 weeks. If I say to you, send me a message, if it's going to be too long and winded, I'm just going to pick up the phone and answer you, because we don't want to ping pong back and forth. But sometimes you just need to either reconfirm what you're thinking, or ask for advice, and it could be a yes or no question, or why is this so? And it takes only minutes out of my day, but it's actually giving you so much more of an asset in the future for the future you, because you're not going off the rails, because that's where your danger zone will be.
Yeah. And I think honestly, that was kind of the extra thing that kept me on track, knowing that I had those check-ins coming up, and you're always going to be like, yay. Or I think once we kind of went, okay, let's look at it. Let's go back to the food.
Yes. Let's relook this, go back to basics, restructure, reformat.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it was good having that, ability to message and have that check-in to just stay on track and know that there was someone who wasn't just like a support, but knew the ins and outs of what I was trying to do with the food without, having to explain it or try and explain it.
So fast forwarding now 11 kilos lighter, how do you feel today versus the person we spoke about not long ago, the tired, the bloated, the unmotivated person? Who is this Candice person today?
Well, this Candice person was very happy to go to Bali and put a bathing suit on.
She did. That was one of your goals. You had a wedding to go to and a Bali trip.
Yep. So I got a brand new dress for my best friend's wedding, and I went to Bali and put on a bathing suit and was quite happy about it. I just feel more confident. I feel lighter. And because I'm lighter, I'm feeling more energetic and that I want to do some more things.
Yes. Hiking, you used to love doing hiking, so you can go back to doing what you really loved.
Yeah. So I'm already starting to plan some possible like travel and hikes involved in that too, which I dreamed about last year, but really never was kind of like, I don't think I'll be able to get there. It's been noticeable outside of me as well. Like last term at school, I just regularly, people would just come up and be like, you look great. You look so happy. You look so, so much more healthy, which has been great for me to hear too.
Yes.
That it's kind of showing that way as well. But yeah, I just feel better. Yeah. I just feel better. Yeah.
And you've dropped a size. I think you're a size, heading up to a size 16, and I think you're down to a size lower end of 12.
Yeah, so that 12, depending on the brand, of course. That kind of lower 12 size.
10 to 12. Like you can go 10 to 12, but you were hitting 14, 16s, top ends.
Yeah.
So that's a whole big size change in difference. So, you can get back into your old clothes again. You can buy new clothes. You can feel that comfortableness. You can feel that sexy you. I mean, I don't call it vain. I think I like to feel good. Most females like to feel good when you're walking out the door. There is nothing worse than feeling frumpy and wearing a bag, one size fits all dress, because it just covers everything. And actually wearing something, you don't have to have like super slim fitting, but feeling comfortable in your own skin is so important for all of us females.
Yeah. And I think that's been the biggest change, particularly as the weather got warmer, because in winter, particularly in Melbourne, we wear layers.
Yes. Unlike us in Queensland, we don't.
Yeah. But coming into the warmer weather, when the skirts and the dresses for work were coming into play, I was pulling out dresses I haven't worn in 3 or 4 or 6 years because I'd never quite got rid of them. Yeah. But putting them on and feeling like, I can I feel comfortable in this.
Yes.
And then getting that, I like your dress. That's a nice look. And
this old thing, I've had this like for years.
And then I'm like, I got this 7 years ago.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. So if you had a friend or someone that you knew, maybe a teacher or a colleague that was sitting on the fence that's done this Groundhog Day, stopping and starting, if you could give them advice on how to move forward, what would be the best advice that you could give them?
I'd probably say try to do what kind of I did and try and get into like what's going on, because I found understanding what the food was doing to my body was a big difference in my ability to stick with it and understand it, because it did get tricky at times. But you're faced with all that food in the supermarket and the takeaway ads and all of that. But I think, yeah, understanding what's going on and how what you're trying to do will actually help was a
Yes.
big thing. And I think just, yeah, having the support, like I said before, having those check-ins and those, you know,
Accountability.
in your program, having that
Yeah.
one person to kind of check in and be there was a good kind of accountability section. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they are a game changer. I feel like accountability buddy. When you're just accountable to yourself, it's easy to give yourself a go pass. When you're accountable to someone else, you're more honest with yourself, you're more compliant, you're more consistent, and then we tend to have more results. So it just makes sense to have that accountability in different formats, but and to know it's not that hard, and that you're going to have some up days and you're going to have some down days, but knowing that those down days don't need to spiral you out of control for the next month, that, you know, get back on track. It's not that hard.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing too, is that I was kind of ended up reframing everything. Like it was like, oh, I'm going to go on a diet. No, it was like, no, this is how I'm going to live. This is, like you've said, this is like a lifestyle way of living. And I think once I kind of got that in my head and I started seeing the results, and I was like, oh no, this is actually, I'm able to do it. And you know, but this is why this is working. I think it just all kind of came into play.
And now all we need to do is maintain your weight, and I will speak to you in obviously 3 months time and 6 months time, because the goal is that the longer you can maintain the weight, you'll stay the same size, but it means that you're back in control, and we've changed your metabolism around, all these things, your body's functioning better, and it's just a healthier version of you. So I'm excited. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for allowing me to help you in the Back to Basics program and sharing the knowledge that I have to help you get back on track, but more importantly, for you to take back control of your overall health and well-being. So thank you.
No, thank you. It's been wonderful.
It's been my pleasure. Okay, I'm just going to turn off the video, and I'll chat with you in a sec. Hold on. Let me